Crystal.
And I'm Tara.
We're the Beer Sisters.
And we also are cider experts too.
Tara actually went to and did like a course in cider making at Brock University.
Yeah, 1 week course in cider making at Brock University. And then we also both judged Glint Cap, the Great Lakes International Cider and Perry competition, and learned from some of the masters of cider judging and wine judging.
Yeah, so we thought today we're introducing some like fun, delicious beers from Headwaters region, and they're both farmhouse products. Goodlot started off as a hop yard and then a bottle shop, and now it has this like gorgeous beer garden. They're very kind of grower to glass. And then we have cider from
Heartwood, and they are in beautiful Erin, Ontario, and it was started as a regenerative farm, so that means you just kind of let things grow wild and regenerate different plant life on your farm, and there's cows, and there's pigs, and there's goats, and they make really amazing craft ciders with a lot of different varieties of apples and spices and maple syrup from their sugar bush, so we're really excited to talk about them, and we are really excited to visit them.
Yeah, it looks so rustic and romantic.
Beautiful.
And Goodlot too looks like just gorgeous. Like what an amazing place to have a beer, but in a hop yard just outside of Toronto. It feels like the perfect setting. Both of these places I think would be amazing. So we thought today we'd tell you the differences between beer and cider and then how to taste each one. And I'm gonna take care of the beer side.
And I'm cider.
So first of all, beer is made with barley, hops, water, and yeast.
Cider is made with apples and yeast. So the yeast can either be added in or it can be naturally occurring on the skins of the fruit, but it's primarily made with apples, and you can also, sprinkle in other ingredients like peppers, pears, berries,
and same with
botanicals.
Same with craft beer, you can kind of chuck whatever you want into the pot. Cider is very flexible that way. And cider often borrows from beer. They use beer yeasts. Beer doesn't really use cider yeast though.
But cider also used wine yeast, so we kind of like pick the best of both worlds.
So for the beers, we're gonna do kind of like a how to taste. And I'm gonna use the Farmstead Ale from Goodlot,
which is available in the LCBO, as well as the Big Head Amber is now in the LCBO, and the rest are available at the farm shop.
When you're pouring beer into a glass, there is a technique. 3/4 of an angle, pour it down slowly down the side so you don't get too much foam. And then when you're just about this much, you're gonna pour it quickly so that you have about 2 to 3 fingers of head on the top. And this, I would say, is the perfect pour. Foam is key to enjoying a good beer. It protects the beer from oxygen, it enhances mouthfeel, and it just looks really great in the glass.
And we don't really need to worry about foam with cider because cider doesn't have the protein, so you don't need a foamy cap. So when we're pouring cider, I was just trying to select which one I was gonna pour. There's a hop cider here. There's also this black currant cider, which I think I'm gonna do.
So beautiful.
It looks really nice. So it's all pressed apple juice, fermented with the yeast, and then they also add in black currants, giving it this like beautiful color. So when I'm pouring, I'll still pour at an angle, but I don't need to worry about any foam or head.
It looks gorgeous.
And when I'm looking at cider, the first thing I'm gonna do is look at it. It's so beautiful. It's like this, reddish pinkish hue from the blackberries, and I can see the bubbles dancing up the glass, which is really lovely. And some beers can be a little less carbonated, but mostly they have a lot of carbonation, whereas with cider, it can be still, it can be petalite, which means like very, very gentle bubbles, or it can be like really sparkling and bubbly. So I'm looking at if I can see those bubbles coming up.
So when we are looking at beer, the foam, same with the bubbles, these are like rising beautifully through the glass, and the color, this beer is not brilliantly clear, it's a little cloudy, but it's also quite cold, and it's just got a beautiful, gorgeous like sunset kind of hue.
Yeah, and it has a really nice foamy cap.
So you're going to stir up the volatile organic compound just by swirling your glass a bit, and then hold it a little bit away from the nose, kind of do a short sniff. I get a little bit of like cracker and grain, maybe some fresh hay, and then if I want to get a little more out of my glass, I can cover it up and swirl, and then do a longer sniff.
And when we're evaluating cider, we're doing the exact same thing. So we're smelling it from a distance, then we're smelling it closer up. If we can't get a lot of aromas out of it, we're doing the covered swirl and smelling more. I'm getting like red currants, red raspberry, and red delicious apple a little bit. But it's mostly, I'm getting a lot of berries.
I'm getting kind of orange peel and a little bit of fresh coriander, like from the garden, like garden herbs, as well as those kind of hay-like notes I talked about earlier. And then we go to tasting. I'm pregnant, so I'm gonna use a spittoon for mine. But when you taste beer, you're really looking for the balance of bitterness and sweetness, as well as the mouthfeel. So how carbonated is it? Is it highly carbonated like Coca-Cola with great big bubbles? Is it like fine and sparkling like champagne? Is it like almost still gently carbonated like a cask ale? And then you're also gonna look for, with mouthfeel, the weight. So is it medium, light, or heavy bodied? And that's about it when you taste. So when you're tasting the beer, it's pretty simple. There's no fancy techniques like with cider that makes it really complicated. We like to keep it simple. So you just take a sip, make sure you coat your tongue, notice the difference between the sweetness and the bitterness, what other flavors you might be tasting, and that's about it. I get like some toasted bread, slight touch of honey, a lot of spicy herbaceous hops, almost like that spicy arugula from your garden, kind of that peppery hop note. I would say a good, decent amount of bitterness on this beer.
It's really citrusy and bright. I like it. It's really refreshing. The carbonation is like really tight. Back to cider. So the difference when you're tasting beer versus cider. So with cider, instead of balancing sweetness and bitterness, like beer, you're balancing acidity and sweetness. So there's really no bitterness in cider unless you're talking about the tannins from the skins of the apples, certain apple varietals, reserved usually for cider making because they're not very great to eat, have a lot of tannins, so they can give you like a bitter taste in your mouth. Or if you're talking about bitterness, you're talking about a hop cider. So here I'm looking for the balance between sweetness and acidity, and I'm also thinking about the mouthfeel. Is it really heavy in my mouth or is it really light in my mouth? You can think about mouthfeel like cream and the milk spectrum. Like really light body is skim milk and really heavy body is like full on cream. Okay, so let's give it a taste. So it's
pretty.
very tart. It's not very sweet, it's quite dry, but I'm gonna do like a fancy like little cider trick just to, you know, get a little bit more flavor out. This is what we were taught when we were judging cider and when we were tasting cider. So you take a sip, and then you open your mouth while the cider's still in your mouth to aerate it. You can release more aromatic compounds. I got like a lot more raspberry.
Oh yeah?
And I got like quite a lot more tangy, bright acidity.
The other thing with cider though too, it has tannins, right? So cider is sweetness, acidity. It can have some bitterness from bitter apples, plus tannins that coat your mouth.
Yes.
And cider is free from gluten. Beer is full of gluten. So those are the big differences there. So one thing that beer and cider have in common is they're both delicious with food, especially farm to table fare, like this
Yum.
honey garlic meat pie that's baked with apples and pork from the farm. And this farm is a Landman Gardens and Bakery, and they are a little bakery that sells at a whole bunch of farmers markets and makes delicious things. They also sent us this potato salad.
Yes, so delicious. And we also have sausages with beer soaked apricots in them, soaked in this Goodlot beer, their Farmstead ale. And they are from Goose and Gander Kitchen, which is like a really great private caterer and like events company, and they make amazing food. So we're gonna pair these up with our dry, bubbly, delicious small batch ciders and beers.
And if you have a chance, please visit Headwaters this summer. Make it your mission. Get some local food, hit a farmer's market, visit Goodlot, visit Heartwood Farm and Cidery. They both have amazing farm stores. Pick up from them. They also deliver across Ontario. It's just a great way to taste something new.
Yeah, and pairing it up with local food, like it's what grows together goes together. It's always gonna be a really nice experience.
All right, well,
Cheers.
cheers. Thanks for watching.